this at 5 feet can lift this like no problem. And the more wind there is, the more lift you need, because otherwise the balloon goes like that, and then you hit a building or get stuck in a tree or something. So you kind of have to play it depending on how much wind there is and how big your balloons are. You can also lift this with 3 of those balloons. And that's nice because if you hit a tree and the balloon pops, it comes down slowly instead of all at once. Basically, I arrived at this through some iterations. The first thing I did was just a cardboard box, and that didn't work that well because it spun a lot. And then the pictures that come out are really blurry around the edges because it's like spinning. So the second thing I did was this. This also costs nothing. But what you do is you put the camera, and I'm not going to untie it from here, but you tie strings around the camera and you fit it into there, and it fits just like it fits really nicely. I'm trying to find a square object I can put in there, maybe like this. And then because there's a curved top, well, this doesn't quite fit, but you get the idea. It kind of gets stuck at the top, and then if you pull the strings through the hole, it's very solid, and you can tie that off if you want. And we also, Josh and I drilled holes through the deck here, so you can tie like this onto something else, or just tie it around here. It's really useful, and obviously you can get these models anywhere you want, so it's nice. The wings are not just to make it look like a satellite. If there's any wind, then it will stop it from rotating. It'll still rotate a bit. It'll be like this or something, but like in general, it's not spinning super fast. And with the cardboard box, it'd be like, and then of course you can't take anything. The pickup suspension is a little more work, but it's probably like about the same price. Nothing. And what's nice about this is that as the kite string goes up and down, it doesn't move that much. This is not like something I invented that's like used by kite aerial photographers all the time, and they're really, really good at what they do. And they send like SLRs up on these, so they're willing to put like $1,000 worth of camera equipment at the mercy of this object. So this will stabilize it a good bit, but actually what's nice is that when it swings a bit, it's actually good because then you can get pictures of a wider area. It sounds kind of silly, but the camera is rigged to take pictures every 10 seconds. So if it's swinging back and forth, then and every 10 seconds it's random, but you're taking enough pictures that you get like pictures of all kinds of stuff. And the more coverage you get, the better, and the more overlap between different pictures you get, the better. Once you can have a sound with this. Feel free to play with it. There's actually like, I made a mistake and there's like one twist too many, and so you can wreck it if you want. It's not a big deal. Once you have all the pictures, have I skipped anything? Oh yeah, the camera, to trigger the camera every 10 seconds, any Canon camera has something called the CHDK. It's an open source hacked firmware for the Canon camera. Canon used it to do like debugging and stuff, and so all their cameras accept this. You just Google CHDK and you'll find it. And basically, you put it on the SD card. So you like put the SD card in the computer, you have to like format it a certain way and add certain files in certain places, and it's all, the instructions are all online. But then you can write simple scripts. And I just wrote a script that says, wait 10 seconds, take a picture, go back to the top. It's really, really straightforward. And then, it has about 128 megabytes of memory because I didn't bother to buy a new one, and that's plenty for about an hour and a half of photographs at 10-second intervals. And this is 5 megapixel camera. So this camera cost, I think, $38 on Amazon.com, like used. And on eBay you can get it a little bit cheaper, but it's probably good to get. What is the model number? It's like a PowerShot A530, which in its day I'm sure was a really professional camera. But I would get something, just anything newer than that camera, because this is so old it doesn't have a shutter priority setting. So one issue is, of course, in very light conditions, your pictures are going to be blurry, even if it's not like moving that fast, right? So if you do a really sunny day, you're going to get pretty good, but I was taking a lot of these in the evening, and it was nice to have like really good. So I turned up the ISO to like something really high. I'm actually not really a camera guy, so, but that basically, it's a trade-off. If you turn up the ISO, the images will be crisp, but they'll also be really, really grainy. And that's why like all the pictures I have are really grainy. Because I'm just making maps, and it doesn't really matter. Like I don't care if the pictures aren't like super beautiful, as long as the detail is there. But if you can get a shutter priority camera, you can turn the shutter speed up to like 1,000 or like 1,000th of a second or something, and then it'll be super sharp and it won't be grainy.
The battery won't last for long. The battery won't be lasting for long.
Is higher shutter speed takes more power?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, So take that hook out. I guess, I don't know, I haven't tried it, so.
That's the case in mobile applications.
Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, hand it around and try to upside it. It's, I think it, rotationally, like if it turns this way a lot, then it does spin, but if you imagine that you separate these two onto, like on the kite string, you know, like tie a knot around it in two different places, then the kite string itself doesn't actually move laterally that much. Basically, what you get is
Do you want
bobbing,
me to
you get
film
bobbing
something
kind of like this
specific?
action. So pretend you're like that, and you get an idea of what it's like. We can also connect it to a longer string if you want. This may sound kind of boring, but like the pragmatics are really important. Josh and I have like done this a few times now, and the worst part is coiling the string up when you're done, which Josh has to do. So I made this thing, which is pretty primitive, but it allows you to go like this, you know, or like let it out, whatever you want. And this is not very tightly tied, but you want to make sure that it, you know, doesn't slip off and stuff. And otherwise, you're left with a huge mess, and then you have to throw away the string because you can't unknot it. I spent hours like trying to unknot strings that I wrote. Since the string costs $3, that's a significant amount if you have to throw away the string every time. So, let's see. The string I'm using is actually not this. It's like medium load, and I think it holds like 50, 60 pounds or something. So it's like you totally don't need string that thick. You can use really lightweight stuff. But just imagine it's a kite. And then if you know your way around knots, I use like a couple of clove hitches to tie the balloon on so that when you're done, you don't have to pop the balloon to, you know, you don't tie the balloon off because you want to reuse it. So you use a string around the balloon. But you have to be really careful not to leak helium, listen for it, and make sure it's not going to come off because then your camera's gone. You can put a parachute on there if you want to. Some people, the MIT team sent a balloon up to 90,000 feet, took a picture from Boston to Long Island, and they said that if you've protected the camera enough, which I obviously haven't, then a streamer on it is enough to slow it down that it won't break. I wouldn't vouch for that, but I mean, if you want, you can put a parachute up. Since the balloon is moving up very slowly, it doesn't matter if there's a parachute like around, you know, it'll still catch. But make sure no strings are obscuring the picture, and then that's pretty much it. If you have a little more money, you can invest in like an iPod Nano. And this is something I haven't totally tested, but it'll take a video at SD resolution, about 640 by 480. And there was a presentation on this at WearCamp 2008, I think, or 2009 in like San Francisco. This guy took one of these, and it was like an even cheaper camera, and waved it around, and then took all the video, dumped it as flat image files, and then dropped it into like an image stitcher, and automatically stitched like a close to gigapixel image out of just a low quality camera. So the idea there is this way is like much, much less. So you could use only one balloon, cutting the cost a lot. Or you could use like a really lightweight kite, like this pocket kite. You can sew these if you want, but I'm not a good sewer, so I'm making like box kites, and I have one half assembled in my room, but I figure maybe I'll finish it by tomorrow and we can test it. It's made of like dowels and plastic and stuff. It's pretty big, so I don't know, we'll see. But this, you know, it's like very small, but it will lift, you know, some reasonable amount of weight. Don't tangle it up. This is like one of those, what's it called? It's an airfoil kite, so this top part inflates, the end is sealed, so it becomes this like rigid wing shape, and then it just stays long. And it will go up in like very little wind, as obviously easy to transport. So the idea is turn the iPod on, get it starting filming, and then tape it inside of the packaging that it came in, which is clear, and then tape this and knot it a lot and do responsible things to attach it to the string. And then, like, you know, it should be in about this position. So if you can all do that. I mean, if it's worthwhile, attach it to the pick-a-bay suspension, but if not, whatever. And then, you know, that'll be up there on the kite flying around. And then you can download the video, and et cetera, et cetera.